Welcome to Mystic Realms Recap. Please like, share, and subscribe. Enjoy today's episode.
Zhou Zhou was overjoyed. The Scarlet Brood Mother of the Mu Valley always surprised him the most every time his territory advanced. He could create a true God-tier advanced grade Scarlet God Spirit in a day. Even the original spirit race wouldn't dare to think that way, right? However, after some thought, Zhou Zhou decided not to specially nurture the Scarlet True God tier. Rather, he would like to specially nurture elite soldiers. He still liked the method of manufacturing soldiers in large quantities. Moreover, with more ordinary soldiers, there would always be a few elite soldiers among them. There was no delay. Of your 1,000,000 mist mothers, leave 200,000 behind to specially nurture the iron-eating bear and the withered tree. The other 800,000 mist mothers, 400,000 will be used to nurture the violent storm demon spirit, and the other 400,000 will be used to nurture the yellow talisman Dao soldiers. Zhou Zhou could not help but smile at the end. A total of 800,000 mist mothers. It was enough to nurture 4,000 trillion mother nest monsters. With the enhancement of the King of Loots and other Lord talents and titles, he could obtain 800 trillion yellow talisman Dao soldier recruitment books, 800 trillion yellow talisman Dao soldier class change certificates, 800 trillion violent storm spirit recruitment books, and 800 trillion violent storm spirit class change certificates tomorrow. If he converted all these recruitment books and class change certificates into new recruits, it would be a total of 2,400 trillion soldiers, which was 2.4 capital units of soldiers. Thinking of this number, even though Zhou Zhou was mentally prepared, he still shouted in his heart that it was ridiculous. His current total military strength, excluding the god spirits, only added up to 7 capital units with 4,529 trillion 830.6 billion 6,219 soldiers. This was already an extremely terrifying number for the 10,000 races. Even for overlord-level lord factions, there were very few who had such troops. However, from tomorrow onwards, he would be able to recruit 2.4 capital units troops every day. In just 3 days, he would be able to recruit 7 capital units of soldiers. This is ridiculous, Zhou Zhou exclaimed in surprise. 3 days later, by tomorrow, the total number of troops under him would be infinitely close to the 10 capital units. With this number of troops, he could expand his empire's territory even faster. Yes, Your Majesty. On the other side, Mugu immediately said respectfully after hearing Zhou Zhou's words. Then, he retreated. Seeing this, Zheng Fugui stepped forward. Reporting to Your Majesty, the number of mysterious merchant has increased from 5 billion to 20 billion after our territory was promoted to a high-tier deity-level advanced grade. The number of carriages transporting goods has also increased to 20 billion. All of our mysterious merchant strength has also increased to high-tier deity-level advanced grade. Our treasure hunting ability has improved again. In the future, when we go out to do business, we should be able to bring back at least 10,000 god-tier treasures each time. He said respectfully. Zhou Zhou nodded. He felt even more emotional. Mugu's side had improved greatly. Zheng Fugui's side was equally as shocking. A total of 20 billion high-tier deity-level advance grade god spirits. Such troops were probably only possessed by supreme god realm factions and stronger factions. It was impossible for an overlord faction to have such a huge number of god spirits. Zheng Fugui left after he finished speaking. Seeing this, Carol Moeli stepped forward and said respectfully, "Reporting to Your Majesty, after the territory was upgraded to a high-tier deity-level advanced grade, our life arc already has 100 trillion clergymen, 2 trillion priests, 2 trillion nuns, and 2,000 trillion life holy knights. These clergymen are enough to complete the war treatment mission and resurrect the war with 300 billion troops. Also, currently, there are 5 million high-level divine duty members of the life arc god spirit level. Every one of them has mastered the resurrection spells, and they can resurrect the deities of our country alone. As for my strength, I'm already at Master God tier elementary grade. I haven't obtained any new improvements for the time being." Not bad. Zhou Zhou smiled and nodded at Carol Moeli. It was a pity that Carol Moeli's strength didn't improve. However, The number of clergymen under him had greatly increased. These clergymen were enough to complete the war healing mission and the war resurrection mission of the 10 capital units. It was enough to satisfy his needs in a short period of time. As for the future, he could take his time. In any case, his territory not only had clerics from the Church of Life who were good at healing, but there were also doctors, pharmacists, and other lifestyle professionals who were good at healing and pharmaceuticals. In a short period of time, there was no need to worry about the soldiers under him being injured and unable to be treated. Then, he chatted with Mu Gu and company for a while before letting them leave. Just as Zhou Zhou was about to return to the reincarnation sacred palace and use the 3 magic imparting scrolls to improve his law comprehension as a true god-tier elementary grade lord, he suddenly sensed something. He was first stunned before he revealed a look of pleasant surprise. His divine body suddenly vanished from the spot. Outside the high continent, in the vast, boundless, fantastical, and magnificent universe sea of stars, a tall man about 10,000 light years tall, with disheveled hair, an angular face, ancient eyes, and a muscular body. His upper body was naked, and his lower body was wrapped in an animal skin skirt. He held a pitch-black axe in his hand and stood there quietly looking up at the starry sky. Swoosh! Zhou Zhou appeared 1,000,000 light years away and stared at the other party from afar. His appearance didn't attract the axe-wielding man's attention. The axe-wielding man quietly looked up at the starry sky, as if he was thinking about something. Gradually, his eyes lit up. In the end, his left eye was as bright as the sun, emitting a scorching golden light. His right eye was as bright as the great lunar star, emitting a silvery white light. He slowly raised his giant axe. At the same time he raised his giant axe, a terrifying aura and astonishing willpower that pressed forward and opened a path forward emitted from him. Within a radius of 10 million light years, under this aura and will, everything became quiet. No life form dared to make a sound. All living beings within a radius of 10 million light years looked up at the starry sky in the direction of the axe-wielding man. Most of them could not see what was happening tens of millions of light years away. However, in the depths of their hearts, the figure of the axe-wielding man quietly appeared. This scene was destined to be remembered by countless life forms. This axe. Zhou Zhou stared at the axe and felt the will on it. He could not help but be deeply shocked. He's actually at the limit of the will like light realm like me? He's only a step away from advancing to the will divine transformation realm. He hasn't advanced to Master God tier yet. He's still at the true God tier advanced grade, but it won't be long, he muttered to himself. Speaking of which, the axe-wielding man raised his axe high and roared as he slashed down at the vast starry sky in front of him. In the next second, a chaotic axe light stretched for tens of millions of light years and directly slashed out a huge spatial rift in the universe, unable to close for a long time. The axe-wielding man, Pangu, slowly retracted his huge axe. I'm finally a master god, Pangu muttered. Pangu sat cross-legged in the starry sky and began his final breakthrough. Rumble. An extremely terrifying pressure burst forth from his body and spread into the cosmos. Then, 99,999 extremely bright stars slowly appeared in the starry sky. These stars were connected to each other, forming a constellation that looked like a chaotic giant axe. As soon as the giant axe constellation appeared, the surrounding stars immediately flickered as if they could not withstand the huge pressure emitted by the constellation. At this moment, the giant axe constellation suddenly emitted an extremely dense chaotic light. The chaotic light was born from the starry sky and shone directly on Pangu, who was sitting cross-legged with his eyes closed. Under the illumination of this chaotic light, the aura on Pangu's body became even more terrifying, and he began to rapidly advance to the Master God tier elementary grade. At this moment, a dark purple light silently burst out from the distant starry sky. In the middle of the light, one could vaguely see a dark purple sharp dagger stained with blood. It surpassed the speed of light and stabbed at Pangu, who was breaking through. If this attack succeeded, not only would Pangu fail to break through, but he might even die from the backlash of the failure. Pangu, who was closing his eyes and breaking through with all his might, frowned slightly. However, he was at the critical moment of his breakthrough. He couldn't be distracted, much less attack. Otherwise, he would also die. He never expected that in order to break through, he had already gone far enough, but he had still been discovered by an unfamiliar enemy. At this critical moment, a cold snort suddenly sounded. A painful groan came from the void of space. Following that, a dark purple figure was ejected from space. Then, he fled in the opposite direction without looking back. You can come and go as you please. You look down on this emperor too much, Zhou Zhou said calmly. In the next second, a blood-colored stream of light shot out from Zhou Zhou's hand. It was the race's divine artifact, the sacred spear of Longinus. In the blink of an eye, the sacred spear of Longinus pierced through this unfamiliar master god tier who intended to launch a sneak attack. This unfamiliar master god tier only felt an immense pain that he had never felt before. It stimulated his soul, body, and will. He screamed repeatedly before looking at the blood-colored steel fork stuck in his chest in disbelief. No, he had yet to finish speaking. In the next second, the blood-colored steel fork suddenly released golden flames. They quickly spread throughout his body as soon as the golden flames appeared. In the blink of an eye, his entire body was set ablaze. He perished in the golden flames before this unfamiliar master god tier could react. So it's an evil god, Zhou Zhou sneered. The sacred spear of Longinus was the spear of light and destruction of demons. It had additional damage against evil gods and demon gods. The god spirit looked injured just now. It was obvious that the evil god and demon god were injured. It was also because the other party was a god spirit like an evil god or demon god that he was able to kill him in one strike. With his subsequent move, he saw the corpse that had been burned by the golden flames until only the corpse was left, as well as the sacred spear of Longinus instant transmitting in front of him. Zhou Zhou casually extracted his corpse. In the end, he only extracted a dozen or so true god-tier divine artifacts and was no longer interested. He casually placed them and the sacred spear of Longinus into the first treasure vault. Then, he continued to watch Panga's advancement. After that, there were no more ambushes by unfamiliar god spirits, so Pangu successfully advanced to become a master god-tier elementary grade god spirit. At the same time, Zhou Zhou also looked in the direction of the high continent, as if he had sensed something. He had just sensed that the potential of the human subjects under his command had been upgraded again. They had officially broken through the bottleneck of the white platinum tier advanced grade and reached the diamond tier elementary grade. Which meant, from this moment on, among all the humans in the myriad worlds, all the humans under he had the lowest potential at the diamond tier elementary grade. When Zhou Zhou thought of this, a smile appeared on his face. A diamond tier elementary grade life form. This could definitely be considered as the ranks of experts. And every subject under him had a chance to become such an expert. As their lord, he was sincerely happy for the potential and future of his subjects. At this moment, Pangu, who had already advanced to a master god tier elementary grade god spirit, slowly opened his eyes. He held a huge axe and casually opened a spatial rift beside him before walking in. In the next second, a spatial rift emerged in front of Zhou Zhou, and Pangu walked out. "Hello, Patriarch," Pangu said. "Greetings, Imperial Lord Pangu." Zhou Zhou also smiled. Pangu stroked his messy hair and chuckled. "Forget about the Emperor. It has some conflict with your honorific name, Patriarch. In the future, you can call me Pangu. Emperor, there's no need to be humble. I grew up listening to your legendary tier." Zhou Zhou smiled. "I grew up listening to my legends. The Patriarch is really the first person in history to obtain such achievements before the age of 30. Pangu sighed. He wasn't flattering him. He wasn't someone who was good at flattering others. He was indeed speaking from the bottom of his heart. To be able to become a true god tier before the age of 30 and even have the combat power of a master god tier, and even be able to achieve such an achievement that left all races dumbfounded in the myriad worlds. Not to mention the human race. Even in the original spirit race, the #1 race in the myriad worlds, such a figure did not exist. It could even be uttered that he did not even dare to think about it. Zhou Zhou smiled and didn't say anything else. He cupped his fists and congratulated. I haven't congratulated Your Excellency Pangu on becoming a master god yet. I merely didn't expect Your Excellency Pangu to not only achieve the great Tao of Master God tier with the Law of Strength, but also achieve the same achievement in the Law of Opening. Your Excellency also has a chance to become a Supreme God realm in the future. Zhou Zhou sighed. Yes, during the process of His Excellency Pangu's advancement, Zhou Zhou not only felt the nomological fluctuations of the Master God tier Law of Strength from him, he also felt the nomological fluctuations of the Master God tier Law of Opening. This Your Excellency Pangu had actually used the laws of 2 Master God tiers to achieve the position of Master God. Such ambition, such boldness, such talent, such comprehension. Zhou Zhou could not help but be deeply impressed. In addition, even though the Law of Opening was not within the top 10 of the heavenly laws, it was also ranked in the top 100 laws. The Law of Strength was one of the top 10 Law Great Tao. With these 2 types of Master God tier laws as the foundation and the fact that the other party was infinitely close to the will divine transformation realm, Zhou Zhou uttered that the other party had a chance of advancing to the Supreme God realm in the future. Even though it was merely a trace, it was also an opportunity that countless Master God tier experts could only dream of. If they were both Master God tiers, there were also differences in aptitude. Then His Excellency Pangu could definitely be considered a Master God tier with superior aptitude. As for himself, naturally, it belonged to the top batch. I wouldn't have waited until both laws reached the Master God tier level before advancing if it wasn't for the Supreme God realm. Pangu shook his head. Zhou Zhou raised his eyebrows. It turned out that His Excellency Pangu had long been able to advance to the Master God tier level. It was only for the sake of reaching a higher Supreme God realm that he had been holding back from breaking through. He only officially broke through when the 2 laws reached the Master God tier realm. He was really patient. Zhou Zhou was surprised. I wonder if Your Excellency Pangu is willing to join my empire, he asked. Such an existence naturally had to be roped into his side. I'm from the human race, and Your Excellency is the master of the human race. In addition, Your Majesty saved my life. How can I not join Your Majesty? Pangu agreed readily. If not for the divine medicine that Zhou Zhou had given him, he would probably have slept for thousands of years more before waking up. In a few thousand years, the Lord of all races competition might be over. At that time, the human race might not even be around anymore. Therefore, Pangu was really grateful that Zhou Zhou could wake him up and let him see a completely new human who was countless times stronger than before. Zhou Zhou smiled and nodded. Then, Your Excellency, follow this emperor back to the empire. Coincidentally, there are still some treasures and buildings in the empire that are suitable for Your Excellency to continue cultivating. I believe Your Excellency will like them. The current him wouldn't be afraid of any enemy. I couldn't ask for more. Pangu nodded when he heard this. His expression was calm, and he did not look too excited. He had experienced many hardships for humanity after all. He was an existence that had led humanity from insignificant to rising. Such a trivial matter of not batting an eyelid, even if Mount Tai collapsed in front of him, was just a basic operation for him. Zhou Zhou nodded. Then, he brought Pangu back to the Blazing Sun Empire. After the 2 of them returned to the Blazing Sun Empire, Zhou Zhou immediately gathered the upper echelons of the Blazing Sun Empire and all the lord-level existences for a high-level banquet. He also met the former patriarch of the human race and informed everyone that Pangu had joined the Blazing Sun Empire and become its worshipped master god. The Yellow Emperor, Patriarch Lu, the Buddha Lord, and Bai He were among the people who met Pangu. When the 4 human leaders saw Pangu, tears immediately welled up in their eyes. Especially Patriarch Lu. This person was a sentimental person to begin with. After seeing Pangu revive, he immediately hugged him excitedly with tears in his eyes. Brother. The Yellow Emperor's expression was agitated and his eyes were filled with tears, but at least he could control his actions. You're finally awake. Our human race is stronger than before. From now on, no other race will dare to bully us. We have already become the top race among the myriad races in the world. Buddha is benevolent. The Buddha Lord put his palms together and smiled. I've said it before. Eldest brother has cut through the thorns and cut open the path for the human race, protecting the rise of the human race. How great is the merit of the human race? Even if you experience hardships, there will definitely be a day when you'll be satisfied. Now look, am I right? Okay. I know you're right. Bai He then said respectfully to Pangu. Fifth brother greets eldest brother. Good fifth brother. Pangu patted Bai's shoulder with a rueful expression. Bai He was the last to reach the true God realm among the five of them. Moreover, Pangu was attacked and fell asleep not long after he became a true god. Therefore, Bai He had the least contact with Pangu. However, even though he had not interacted much with Pangu, Bai He was one of the most worried about Pangu as a true god who had listened to Pangu since he was young and respected Pangu from the bottom of his heart. After that, the human race suffered continuously. First, the Yellow Emperor's divine body was destroyed, so he could only sleep in the Xianyuan tomb to maintain his divine soul body. Then, the Buddha Lord took the initiative to enter the cycle of reincarnation. Only Patriarch Lu and he, the two true god tiers, remained in the human race. However, in order to protect the inheritance of the human race and search for resources for the human race, Patriarch Lu took the initiative to hide his identity and disappear from the infinite worlds. Bai He was the only true god left in the human race. He was clearly the youngest of the five human true god tiers. However, he had taken on the heaviest responsibility of the human race. Even though Pangu was in a deep sleep, he knew about these things. However, he was powerless to interfere. He could only watch as Bai He grew through the trials and tribulations of danger. In the end, he became the true pillar of the human race and protected the human race until Zhou Zhou appeared. He was back. Pangu swept his gaze across Yellow Emperor and the other human leaders and said, "Everyone, it's time to fight side by side again in the future." Okay. Ha. Big brother, I've been waiting for this sentence for a long time. Let's fight to our heart's content for the humans behind us. The Yellow Emperor and the others laughed. Brother, I'm already at true god tier advanced grade. Patriarch Lu smiled. Me too. I've also advanced to the true god tier advanced grade, and I'm about to comprehend the will-like light realm. Before long, I'll be able to open up a new nomological law and become a master god tier like Big Brother. Yellow Emperor and the others said one after another. This is all thanks to your majesty. Without the top-notch master god tier inheritance given to us by his majesty, it's impossible for us to reach this step so quickly. The Buddha Lord said. Pangu looked at Zhou Zhou. Zhou Zhou raised his glass and smiled. He was also very satisfied. It could be said that the hardships that humans had suffered had come to an end. That night, all the upper echelons of the empire were very happy. At the same time, Zhou Zhou also gave the order to spread the news of Pangu's awakening to all the humans in the myriad worlds and tell them the news of a universal celebration. After the banquet ended, Zhou Zhou did not rest. Instead, he returned to the reincarnation sacred palace and began to comprehend the Lord's laws with the help of the teaching scroll. The next day, in the reincarnation sacred palace, Zhou Zhou opened his eyes. He lowered his head and looked at his empty palm. He then rubbed his fingertips reluctantly. The impartation scroll is indeed a good thing, as expected of something tailor-made for me by the Supreme Will. In just one night, after consuming 3 magic imparting scrolls, my Lord's law comprehension actually increased greatly. If this happens 2 or 3 more times, I should be able to advance to the true God tier intermediate grade, right? Zhou Zhou sighed. He had a deep understanding of the difficulty of comprehending a Lord's laws. In the past, even with the help of the reincarnation sacred palace, he would not be able to achieve such progress without at least 8 days. However, he was able to do it overnight with the help of the magic imparting scroll. This way, he was even more looking forward to the rewards of the mysterious daily products. I hope that the reward for today's mysterious item is also a magic teaching scroll. I don't need anything else. Zhou Zhou thought to himself. Then, he opened his Lord Talent interface to see what mythical tier unique Lord Talent he had awakened today. Soon, he saw a brand new mythical tier unique Lord Talent. However, after he read it, not only was he not happy, he even frowned slightly. He thought for a moment before taking out the Bodhi Supreme and asking, Bodhi Supreme, why hasn't a new mythical tier Lord Talent awakened in the past few days? The ones who awakened are all other mythical tier 1 Lord Talents. A chance to answer ordinary questions. The Bodhi Supreme said lazily. Use it, Zhou Zhou said without hesitation. This is because mythical tier, the only Lord of the 10 sacred blessings, is unique. The other 6 mythical tier Lord Talents of the only level of the 10 sacred blessings have already been occupied by the other lords of the myriad races, so you naturally can't awaken them. Bodhi Supreme answered. Zhou Zhou raised his eyebrows. He recalled the Master God tier that the other 6 mythical tiers and the only Lord Talent belonged to. They were the God of Death, Thanatos, the Radiant Master God, Helu, the original Master God tier, Source, the Primordial Dragon, First Venerable, the King of all gods, Di Huang, and the Chaotic Beast God, Heaven Cursed Beast. Zhou Zhou quickly sensed that 5 of the 6 Master God tiers had an obvious characteristic. That was, their races all had their own races behind them. The Radiant Angel race was behind the Radiant Master God, Helu. The original Spirit race behind the original Master God tier, Source. The Dragon behind the Primordial Dragon, First Venerable. The Shepherd's God race behind the King of all gods, Di Huang. The Chaotic Beast God, the Chaos God's race behind the Heaven Cursed Beast. When Zhou Zhou sensed this, he immediately told Bodhi Supreme. The Bodhi Supreme did not hide anything and said lazily, You're right. The remaining Lord Talents and their mythical tier unique level are actually left behind by these Master God tiers for their races. This can also be considered a benefit for them as the founders of the Lord Talent. It's also tacitly approved by the Supreme Will. From the beginning of the Lord of all races competition, these mythical tier talents already have their owners. Naturally, you won't be able to obtain them. Zhou Zhou frowned but did not say anything. This was someone else's ability. It was just like how parents would favor their children in school disputes. There was nothing wrong with it. Who did Your Excellency Thanatos give the Lord Talent to? Zhou Zhou asked curiously. The Imperial Dark Tribe. This can be considered a top-notch bloodline race in the Netherworld. If we trace the origin of their bloodline, it might even be related to the will of the Netherworld. They obtained Thanatos mythical tier, the 1 Lord Talent. Not to mention the other races. Even this divine being of Thanatos has no objections. Bodhi Supreme said. Zhou Zhou nodded. In that case, if I still want to obtain these 6 Lord Talents of the 10 sacred blessings, I can only kill them before they drop? He stroked his chin and thought. This is indeed the easiest method for you. Bodhi Supreme said. Zhou Zhou nodded. Then, he suddenly had an idea. Wasn't there the Radiant Angel race in the active universe? He wondered if the mythical tier Lord Talent was among them. If it was, he would have a high chance of obtaining the other party's Lord Talent. Then, he stopped thinking about it and returned his gaze to the new mythical tier Lord Talent. This Lord Talent was originally a Diamond tier Lord Talent, Connate Spirit Body. The effect was that he and the subjects under him all had Connate Spirit Bodies. Their potential increased by a large level, and they also had other magical uses to assist in cultivation. Perhaps he had been thinking about the subject's lowest potential for the past 2 days, so the Lord Talent he had awakened today had become the only version of the Connate Spirit Body's mythical tier. Lord Talent, Divine Body of Laws, mythical tier, unique. Divine Body of Laws. Specific Lord Talent Effect 1. You and your territory's subject constitution are both law divine bodies. Your potential has increased by 2 major levels. The highest you can reach is Master God tier advanced grade. Specific Lord Talent Effect 2. The lowest strength of you and the subjects under you is White Silver tier elementary grade. Specific Lord Talent Effect 3. It is easier for you and the subjects under you to comprehend the power of Extraordinary tier and become Extraordinary tier professionals. Specific Lord Talent Effect 4. It's easier for you and the subjects under you to comprehend laws, create new skills, and even create law skills. Specific Lord Talent Effect 5. When you and the subjects under you advance to the God Spirit realm, your success rate will increase by 30%. When you advance to the True God tier, your success rate will increase by 5%. When you advance to the Master God tier, your success rate will increase by 0.1%. After reading it, Zhou Zhou took a deep breath. Good God! Zhou Zhou took a deep breath after reading it. First of all, the first Lord Talent was the constitution of the subjects under he and him. Their potential would enhance by 2 major levels, and the highest they could reach was the Master God tier advanced grade. There were already countless subjects under him. There were already as many soldiers as the 7 capital units, not to mention the other professionals and the non-professionals. There should be at least 100 capital units. The potential of the capital unit subjects had increased by 2 levels. This meant that even a subject with the lowest potential at the Black Iron tier elementary grade would reach the White Silver tier elementary grade with the nomological divine body. Including other methods to enhance his potential, the weakest subject under him was an extraordinary tier elementary grade. That was the potential of an extraordinary tier elementary grade. He would definitely be in existence at the level of the kingdom's high officials as long as he did not fall in the future. In other words, all the subjects under him now had the potential to be consecrated by the kingdom. Second effect, let the lowest strength of the subjects under his command be White Silver tier elementary grade. This effect was obviously very powerful, but Zhou Zhou was not very surprised. This was because among the myriad races in the world, there were many races with high bloodlines. Their strength and realm at birth were indeed much higher than other races. For example, the weakest pure-blooded dragon was at least at the green bronze tier elementary grade. For example, when Nazario was just born, his strength had reached green bronze tier advanced grade. This aptitude was already considered above average among the dragons. As for the dragons, apart from the legendary dragons, the yellow gold sacred dragon, who had the highest bloodline, was born with a minimum strength of diamond tier elementary grade. Among the other races, there were also many races. Their strength at birth was already higher than the peak of many weak races. However, even so, the lowest initial strength of a lower-level white-silver tier was considered rare among the myriad races. It was even enough to be ranked in the top 50. At the very least, it was stronger than the dragon race. From now on, none of the subjects under he would be weak. When danger came, Zhou Zhou could even choose to turn the entire population into soldiers and let all the subjects rely on their extraordinary tier powers to fight. Of course, unless it was a true crisis, he wouldn't do that. As for the third effect of the Lord Talent, comprehend the power of extraordinary tier and become an extraordinary tier professionals. This effect seemed inconspicuous, but it was an ability that many lords yearned for. Not every lord had a huge number of recruitment books and class change certificates like Zhou Zhou after all. Most of the extraordinary tier soldiers under the lords who had mastered extraordinary tier power were obtained through years of cultivation. It was not easy. If their lords had this talent effect, their power would enhance by at least 1,000 or 10,000 times with the accumulation of time. As for the fourth effect, it was easier to comprehend skills or even law skills. This was similar to the benefits of the previous talent ability. It could help the lord save a large number of skill books and greatly increase the combat power of the subjects. If one could comprehend law skills, it would be equivalent to having a ticket to the God Spirit realm or higher. There was a high possibility of advancing to the God Spirit realm, as well as the higher True God tier and Master God tier realms. As for the last effect, it naturally did not need to be said to increase the success rate of advancing to God Spirit, True God tier, or even Master God tier. This effect was enough to make any life form, or even God Spirit envious. If Zhou Zhou was willing to publicize this talent effect, it was guaranteed that countless God Spirits would come to join his territory. The current prerequisite was that they weren't afraid of enemies like the original spirit race, who were his enemies. I can try to make it public and increase the probability of God's spirits from the outside world coming to join me, Zhou Zhou thought. Then, he did whatever he wanted to do. He immediately told Jing Yuanqi about this matter and got him to publicize this news to the Supreme Continent and even the myriad worlds. Then, Zhou Zhou closed the Lord Talent interface and flew out of the palace to Mugu. At this moment, Wu Xian had already led his army into the Scarlet Broodmother and was hunting the nest monsters inside. When Zhou Zhou saw this, he chatted with Mugu while drinking tea. A moment later, a golden stream of light flew out of the Scarlet Broodmother and landed on the ground, transforming into Wu Xian's figure. "Greetings, Your Majesty." When Wu Xian saw Zhou Zhou, he immediately said respectfully, "It's been hard on Legion Commander Wu Xian." Zhou Zhou nodded and asked expectantly, "How's the harvest?" "Your Majesty, please take a look." Wu Xian excitedly took out 3 world rings. Zhou Zhou took it and immediately looked at the spoils of war. One of the world rings contained a large number of iron-eating bear pet eggs, tree core gems, and other loots. Among the other 2 world rings, one contained 8,000 trillion copies of the Yellow Talisman Dao Soldier recruitment books and 8,000 trillion copies of the Violent Storm Spirit recruitment books. The other world ring contained 8,000 trillion copies of the Yellow Talisman Dao Soldier class change certificate and 8,000 trillion copies of the Violent Storm Spirit class change certificate. Zhou Zhou took a deep breath and could not help but reveal an excited expression. This was a total of 3.2 capital unit soldiers. He only had 7.4 capital unit soldiers now. This recruitment directly recruited more than half of his total military strength. After the recruitment, his soldiers would directly break through the 10 capital units. It was simply terrifying. This isn't even the Scarlet Broodmother's limit. This is only the Scarlet Broodmother of a high-tier deity-level advanced grade. It's hard to imagine how many troops he will recruit every day after the Scarlet Broodmother becomes a Master God-tier advanced grade. Zhou Zhou thought to himself. Then, he looked at Wu Xian and said, "Legion Commander Wu, as usual, you should go to the reserve recruits. Pick out the 1.6 capital units reserve recruits and change their profession to the Violent Storm Spirit and the Yellow Talisman Dao Soldier. Then, lead the Violent Storm Spirit to change their profession to a Forbidden Mage. This Emperor will go to the Gate of Summoning to recruit new recruits." Zhou Zhou said, "I understand." Wu Xian immediately nodded. These were 1.6 capital units recruits. Just thinking about it made him excited. "By the way, do we have enough reserve recruits?" Zhou Zhou asked. He was really afraid that he had too many class change certificates and that the reserve recruits under him would not be able to use them all. "Don't worry, Your Majesty. If it was before, it might not have been enough. However, ever since we turned all the Titan God race subjects and their affiliated races into our Empire's subjects, the number of reserve recruits recorded in our records has already reached 100 capital units. And the number is still increasing. By the way, Your Majesty, the Skeleton Clan has already been defeated by us. Now is the time when the Skeleton Clan is at its weakest. If we can completely subdue the Skeleton Tribe and their subsidiary subjects and convert them into our Empire's subjects, we will record at least as many reserve recruits as the capital units." Wu Xian smiled faintly and said, "At that time, let alone Capital 3.2, we can easily gather 32 capital units, 320 capital units, and 3,200 capital units." The skeleton race was known as one of the races with the most people in the myriad worlds. If the other party could become a citizen of the Blazing Sun Empire, the Blazing Sun Empire would no longer have to worry about the problem of recruiting sources. "You're right. Then let the soldiers under you be prepared. Take down the entire skeleton race within 3 days and make the skeleton race a race that belongs to our Blazing Sun Empire." The current him wouldn't be afraid of any enemy. Wu Xian was right. The main force of the skeleton race had already been wiped out in the active universe. Without the support of those master god tiers, the skeleton race in the great cosmos only had the skeleton emperor as their master god tier. It could be said that the entire skeleton race was at their weakest and easiest to take down. All the races in the world would probably covet the skeleton race, a high-level bloodline race. As the instigator of all this, Zhou Zhou naturally would not give up the results he had created. He would be the skeleton race's only master since he was the one who defeated them. Just as Wu Xian had said, after the countless people of the skeleton tribe submitted, they would become his strongest source of troops for conquering the myriad races in the future. Zhou Zhou could not refuse such temptation. "Yes, Your Majesty," Wu Xian said respectfully. Zhou Zhou nodded. Then, he did not waste any more time. He immediately transformed into a golden stream of light and flew out of the divine kingdom world. When Wu Xian saw this, he quickly left Mu Gu and headed to the camp where the reserve recruits were. In front of the gate of summoning, Zhou Zhou looked at the towering gate of summoning in front of him. With a wave of his hand, he threw all the 1.6 capital units recruitment books in the world rings into the gate of summoning. Zhou Zhou skillfully called over a Cosmos Emperor when he saw this. Then, he threw 100 mid-tier deity-level advanced grade divine crystals into the gate of summoning, summoned all 512 trillion new recruits, and placed them in the Cosmos Emperor's internal world. He said a few simple words to these recruits, then inquired Zero to bring these recruits to the Forbidden Archmage statue to change their profession to Forbidden Mages. Then, he spent another 100 high-tier deity-level advanced grade divine crystals to summon today's new subject. In the end, he summoned a total of 99,999,999 new subjects. Among them were 12 high-tier deity-level advanced grade god spirits. Zhou Zhou was stunned when he saw this number. This is really a coincidence. I'm just one person short of 100 million subjects. Then, he smiled and didn't mind. Instead, he spent another 100 high-tier deity-level advanced grade divine crystals to summon another 66,666,666 pure-blooded dragons from the gate of summoning and let them descend into the inner world of another Cosmos Emperor. I didn't summon a legendary dragon. Zhou Zhou looked at the 60 billion pure-blooded dragons and shook his head in pity. However, he soon didn't care. It's my fortune to have it, but it's my fate to lose it. Then, he came to the Lord shop and took a look at what good goods there were today. In the end, what made he helpless was that the Lord shop only spawned one Master God Tier Divine Artifact and two true God Tier Divine Artifacts today. If other Master God Tiers saw this kind of commodity, they would definitely be overjoyed. However, to Zhou Zhou, he couldn't be moved. However, he still took out some Master God Tier Divine Crystals and bought the 3 items. Then, he called Qi Xintian over. "Greetings, Your Majesty," Qi Xintian uttered respectfully. "Organize the army and prepare to head to the ruins of chaos," Zhou Zhou uttered in a low voice. "Yes, Your Majesty." Zhou Zhou now had a total of 10 capital units, 6,529,830, 6,219 soldiers, 26,876,547 god spirits, 9,289 true god tiers, and 6 lord gods, excluding Zhou Zhou, the 5 clones, Terrence, and the other 4 master god tiers. Other than sending a portion of the army to the Cerulean planet, Zhou Zhou planned to only lead the army of the 5 capital units, 10 million god spirits, 5,000 true god tiers, Zhou Sheng, Pangu, Blood Moon Sun, and Kidotali. As for the other soldiers and god spirits, he planned to stay in the high continent in case of emergencies. The god spirits and soldiers soon boarded a master god tier elementary grade eternal warship and headed for the ruins of chaos. On the way to the primal chaos ruins, Ying Ning was looking at the dark universe outside with a dazed expression. "Why?" Zhou Wen's gentle voice sounded behind her. "Your Majesty, it's nothing. I just miss my hometown a little. I wonder how my family and clansmen are doing. Are they doing well? The chaos beasts have been hunting us chaos humans at the periphery of the chaos ruins. When we return this time, we will probably lose a few friends I know." Ying Ning turned around hurriedly and replied respectfully, her voice a little depressed. Regardless of whether they were doing well in the past, this emperor can definitely bring them a better life than before now that this emperor is here, Zhou Wen said with a faint smile. His voice was filled with indifference and boundless confidence. "I believe in your majesty." Ying Ning nodded vigorously. The god spirits of other empires and her saw how powerful the Blazing Sun Empire was. Even the insufferably arrogant Titan God race had been defeated by His Majesty. Even though the Chaos Gods race was much stronger than the Titan God race, they did not want to fight the Titan God race head-on. They only wanted to save the Chaos human race in the Chaos ruins. There was a high chance that the Chaos Gods race would not mobilize their entire army to deal with the Blazing Sun Empire. Under such circumstances, they still had a certain level of confidence in dealing with the Chaos Gods race. The chaotic ruins was located in the crystal wall of the supreme great cosmos and was extremely far from the high continent. Even if a master god tier wanted to rush to the ruins of chaos, it would take a long time to arrive. Fortunately, their master god level elementary grade spaceship, the Eternal Warship, was very good at long-distance marches. In addition, with Zhou Zhou's support from the side, even though the ruins of chaos was very far from the high continent, they only took a day to reach it. Outside the primal chaos ruins, Zhou Wen and the soldiers floated outside the spaceship and looked at the primal chaos ruins a light year away. He saw an incomplete continent wrapped in dense chaotic airflow floating in the void of the universe. Numerous chaos gods race beings, such as the Vermilion Bird, Ghost Chariot, Nine Neonates, Ceiling Boar, Justice Beast, Spread Head, Tiger Headman, Yellow Stead, Winged Tiger, Mystic Lion, and so on, rode on the Chaos Gods race battleships and shuttled through the chaotic airflow as if they were patrolling. At the same time, they were also diverting their attention to control Master God tier level array formations that enveloped this incomplete continent. It looked like they were imprisoning something. So this is the Primal Chaos Ruins. It was originally a part of the Chaos Humans' residence and also a part of the Chaos Sea. Later on, the Chaos will perished. As a direct descendant of the Chaos will, we were besieged by thousands of races. Among the races that were besieged, the Chaos Gods race was the strongest race. Back then, our Chaos human race relied on our race's heritage to monopolize the myriad races and persisted for a period of time. However, our era had already passed. In the end, we were still surrounded and killed by the myriad races led by the Chaos Beasts. Almost none of our clansmen were left. Our residence, the Chaos Sea, was also occupied by the Chaos Beasts, allowing them to complete the unification of the Chaos Sea. Our ancestors risked their lives to barely tear apart a portion of the residence and brought this portion of the residence here to take refuge. This is the origin of the Primal Chaos Ruins. Yingming looked at her hometown and dejectedly revealed its origins. The generals and god spirits were enlightened. No wonder the Primal Chaos Ruins looked like a post-war ruin. "Come on," Zhou Wen said. "Yes, Your Majesty." The generals received the order respectfully and immediately flew towards the Primal Chaos Ruins. Just as they were about to approach the Primal Chaos Ruins, a cold shout suddenly sounded from afar. Where did this Lord faction that doesn't know the rules come from? Don't you know that this is the forbidden land of our Chaos Gods race? The god spirit who spoke also led a team of Chaos Gods race soldiers to the front of the Eternal Warship. Zhou Wen and the others looked over. The other party was about 10 million kilometers long and golden all over. It looked like a dragon and a dog at the same time. The most shocking thing was that the other party actually emitted the aura of a Master God tier level. The guardian of the Primal Chaos Ruins was a Master God. It's a Master God tier elementary grade roaring towards the Sky Beast. The Blood Moon Sun had a solemn expression. Chaos God beasts like roaring towards the sky were rare even in the Chaos Gods race. The roaring towards the sky's combat strength was also shocking even if they were of the same level. It even had the habit of eating dragon brains. In the myriad worlds, there was a saying that each roaring towards the sky could take on 3 dragons. It could be seen how shocking the other party's combat strength was. As for the other Chaos Gods race beings behind the other party, there were about 100 of them. Among them, there were more than 10 true God-tier Chaos Gods race beings. The weakest among them was a god spirit at the low-tier deity level elementary grade. Yingming couldn't hold it in anymore. She looked at it coldly and spoke before Zhou Wen could. "I only remember that this has been the territory of the Chaos human race since ancient times. When did it become the territory of your Chaos Beast race?" The roaring towards the sky glanced at Ing Ning when it heard this. Then, its eyes suddenly shone with a blood-red light. I was wondering who had the guts to speak to me like that. So it's a remnant of the chaotic human race. So what if you escape? How dare you come back? The roaring towards the sky laughed sinisterly and opened its mouth to swallow Ing Ning. His mouth was filled with sharp fangs as he appeared behind Ing Ning mysteriously, intending to devour her whole. It could tell that Ing Ning already had the strength of true God tier advanced grade and was only a step away from becoming a master God tier. There was even a trace of the aura of will on her body. It was naturally unable to allow such a chaos human to continue advancing. That was why it had immediately killed the other party the moment it discovered its identity. However, at this moment, a faint voice sounded. You attacked this emperor's people in front of this emperor. Your dog face deserves a beating. Zhou waved his hand casually. In the next second, a 9-colored palm appeared mysteriously in front of the roaring towards the sky. Its face was slapped ruthlessly and 2 dog teeth were also knocked out. The roaring towards the sky was stunned when it was suddenly slapped in the face. It subconsciously retracted the nomological skills it had released, allowing Ing Ning to survive. However, it flew into a rage. It was a powerful expert of the Chaos God's race. It had actually been slapped? It had lived for countless years, but this was the first time it had suffered such humiliation. You deserve to die. The roaring towards the sky said angrily. Then, it rushed towards Zhou. Zhou just looked at it quietly without even blinking. In the next moment, a blood-colored figure appeared in front of the roaring towards the sky. It was the Blood Moon Sun. You want to attack His Majesty? Look at yourself. The Blood Moon Sun said coldly. His Majesty was a top-notch Master God-tier combat powerhouse who could arm wrestle with the 10 Master Gods. Even though the roaring towards the sky was a chaos divine beast, it was only a low-level Master God-tier elementary grade God spirit. How was it qualified to fight with His Majesty? It was enough for him to deal with such a Master God-tier trash. A newly promoted Master God-tier dares to stand in front of me. The roaring towards the sky had sharp eyes and could tell the background of the new Master God tier of the Blood Moon Sun at a glance. It immediately looked down on the Blood Moon Sun even more. Even though it was also a Master God tier elementary grade God spirit, it had been in this realm for nearly 500,000 years. After 500,000 years of accumulation, it had the courage to fight even against Master God tier intermediate grade experts. Not to mention this little guy who had just become a Master God tier a few days ago. At this moment, it was even confident that it could kill this enemy Master God tier in an instant. However, in the next second, the Blood Moon Sun took out a blood-colored bamboo cane. He raised the blood-colored bamboo cane high. Immediately after, a blood-colored full moon appeared above Blood Moon Sun's head. In the next second, the blood-colored full moon suddenly shot out a beam of light that charged straight at the roaring towards the sky. It pierced through its chest before it could even react. Boom. After the roaring towards the sky was knocked back a light year, it suddenly spat out a mouthful of divine blood. Its face was pale as it felt its severely injured divine body. It lowered its head and looked at the empty hole in its chest in disbelief. Then, it looked up at the blood-colored bamboo cane in the Blood Moon Sun's hand with wide eyes. It gritted its teeth and said word by word, Master God tier divine artifact. How does my Master God tier elementary grade divine artifact, Red Moon Sacred Staff, taste? The Blood Moon Sun looked at it with a faint smile. Who are you people? This is the territory of our Chaos God's race. Are you sure you want to provoke our Chaos God's race? After the Blood Moon Sun used the Master God tier divine artifact, the roaring towards the sky's attitude immediately changed drastically. A faction that possessed a Master God tier divine artifact was at the very least a high-level bloodline faction. Even though such a faction was still inferior to the Chaos God's race, they could at least treat them as equals. The Blood Moon Sun turned to look at Zhou. He saw that Zhou's expression was indifferent, as if he did not care much. The Blood Moon Sun understood when he saw this. So what if I tell you? We are the blazing sun empire that you high-level and top-level bloodline races yearn for day and night. Surrender obediently and don't resist. Otherwise, Don't blame us for not knowing our limits when we attack later. The Blood Moon Sun shouted. Pangu and Kidotali also stood up and looked down at the roaring towards the sky calmly. When the roaring towards the sky heard the Blazing Sun Empire's name, it was at a loss for a few seconds. Then, it suddenly thought of something, and its expression changed. Blazing Sun Empire. You guys are actually so strong. It had previously received news from its race that a very powerful lord of all races had appeared among the lords of all races who was ranked first among the lords of all races. However, it didn't really care. This was because the primal chaos ruins it was in was located at the edge of the supreme great cosmos. The starry sky here was vast, but there were not many civilizations or life forms. It could be said to be very remote. As time passed, the roaring towards the sky and the other chaos gods race being stationed here gradually stopped paying attention to the news from the outside world. They only focused on cultivating laws and completing their hunting missions every day. Furthermore, so what if he was temporarily ranked first among the lords of the myriad races? It was extremely confident in its race. Even if the first lord was temporarily occupied by other races, it believed that the lords of all races of the chaos gods could defeat the leader again and take first place. However, it never expected this. The so-called number one lord was actually so powerful. Not only did he have a master god tier, but he also had a master god tier divine artifact. And it looked like he had more than one. What was the lord on their side still *king fighting for? The roaring towards the sky was at a loss. How did a lord of all races develop to such a formidable level in such a short period of time? Was this still the supreme great cosmos that it was familiar with? However, it heard what the other party said. Its expression was uncertain. Finally, it exhaled and said in a deep voice, "I surrender." Shock flashed across the Blood Moon Sun, Pangu, and Kidotali's faces. Even Zhou Wen was a little surprised. "You really want to surrender?" Pangu asked. "Why not? Otherwise, I would be fighting to the death with you for the so-called race's honor, then be ganged up on and killed by you, and finally engraved on a monument by my people for them to remember." The roaring towards the sky sneered. "As Master God tier experts, we can't be destroyed even if our races are destroyed. I'm not a fool. I won't die for nothing. First, announce that you want to join the Blazing Sun Empire and become a subject of the Blazing Sun Empire. Only then can we truly believe you." Pangu was silent for a few seconds before saying in a low voice. Before coming, Zhou Zhou had chatted with Pangu for a long time and told him a portion of the secrets behind the territory's loyalty. For example, as long as one joined the Blazing Sun Empire, regardless of whether this person was loyal or evil in the past, he would be a trustworthy companion after joining. He believed that Zhou Zhou wouldn't lie to him even though he didn't understand the mechanics behind it. That was why he said that. Isn't it only a contract or something? The roaring towards the sky muttered. Even though it was unwilling, its life and death were in the hands of others after all. Therefore, it obediently followed Pangu's instructions and said that it wanted to join the Blazing Sun Empire. After saying that, its expression changed slightly. When it gazed at Zhou Zhou behind Pangu, it immediately stated respectfully, "Roaring towards the sky, Danglong greets your majesty." Zhou acknowledged and said, "Can you control all the Chaos Gods race beings near the primal chaos ruins?" "Yes, your majesty. The strongest is only the true God tier Chaos Gods race. To me, I can suppress them with a flip of my hand. Furthermore, they are all my trusted aides. They will basically listen to what I say." The roaring towards the sky stated respectfully, "That's good. You must have other motives for joining our Blazing Sun Empire, right?" Zhou suddenly asked. "I was actually punished to this extent by Source, so I have long held a grudge against the Chaos Gods race. If I join your majesty, I will be able to vent my anger when I fight against the Chaos Gods race in the future." The gods were enlightened. "Start recruiting your subordinates," Zhou said. "Yes, your majesty." With the help of roaring towards the sky Master God tier, the Chaos God hunting team that besieged the primal chaos ruins quickly surrendered to Zhou Wen and joined the Blazing Sun Empire. Zhou Wen and the generals did not expect this. The greatest obstacle preventing them from saving the Chaos humans, the Chaos Gods hunting team, had actually surrendered to them so easily. They thought that they would at least have to fight the other party to make them recognize reality and surrender. It could only be said that this was the benefit of being powerful. With enough strength, even if he didn't do it himself, he could subdue others without fighting and let victory easily reach his hands. Among the generals, Ning was naturally the most shocked. As a chaos human who had escaped from the primal chaos ruins, he knew better than anyone how terrifying the chaos beasts that guarded the primal chaos ruins and hunted the chaos humans were. But such a terrifying team actually took the initiative to surrender in such a short time when facing him. I was right to choose to join His Majesty. In the myriad worlds, only His Majesty can save the chaos humans. He thought silently. At the same time, he looked at Zhou Zhou with an increasingly dazzling gaze. There was even a hint of love that he didn't notice. Reporting to Your Majesty, all the Chaos Gods race members are already here. Other than me, there are a total of 132 Chaos Gods race true God tiers and 3,521 Chaos God race God spirits. The roaring towards the sky said respectfully, TSK, your Chaos Gods race really values the Chaos human race. When Zhou Wen heard the other party's words, he could not help but click his tongue in wonder. The roaring towards the sky smiled awkwardly and did not dare to say anything else. He could naturally tell that His Majesty also had the bloodline of the Chaos humans, so he naturally did not dare to speak ill of the Chaos humans in front of His Majesty. Zhou Wen didn't mind and turned to look at Ning. Bring us to the headquarters of the Chaos humans. This emperor has something to discuss with the patriarch of the Chaos people. Let him do this emperor a favor. Yes, Your Majesty, Ning said respectfully. Then he saw he cut open the skin on his arm and draw out the chaotic blood. Then he used the blood to cast a mystic technique. Then he saw the chaotic blood suddenly boil and evaporate into countless blood-colored steam. Finally, he saw the blood-colored steam condense into a blood-colored fog line that extended into the depths of the primal chaos ruins. So you need a bloodline mystic technique to find the secret base of the chaos humans. No wonder I couldn't find it before. The roaring towards the sky muttered after seeing this scene. The others rolled their eyes at it when they heard that. Then, Zhou Wen and the others followed the blood-colored fog line and finally arrived in front of an illusory door that emitted a chaotic light. Ning pushed open the door, and a silver light suddenly emitted from inside, illuminating the soldiers. Then, a strange feeling of space change appeared around Zhou Wen and the others. Zhou Wen and the others did not resist either. Then, they felt their vision turn black. When the light lit up again, they realized that they had arrived at a vast continent with tall and lush trees that were filled with a barbaric aura. Follow me. Ning had just returned to her hometown when her expression became excited and nervous. She turned into a stream of light and rushed towards the southeast of the continent after saying that. Seeing this, Zhou Wen and the others followed. Soon, they arrived in front of a tribe. This tribe was very primitive, and there were two tall and strong men standing at the entrance. Zhou Zhou's eyes narrowed. He realized that they were the chaos humans with low-tier deity level elementary grade strength. Big Brother Wu Qi, Big Brother Rong Yao, I'm back. When Ning saw the two of them, she could not help but rush over excitedly. It's Ning. Ning is back. When Wu Qi and Rong Yao saw Ning, they were stunned for a moment before they immediately became excited. Ning was the daughter of the Chaos Humans tribe's patriarch, so most people in the clan knew her. A moment later, in the central room of the Chaos Humans tribe, Zhou Wen and Haze of Chaos sat opposite each other. On Zhou Wen's left were Pangu and the others, and on his right were the warriors of the Chaos Humans tribe. Zhou Wen glanced at the warriors of the Chaos Humans tribe. The weakest of these warriors was at the low-tier deity level elementary grade, while the strongest was at the true god tier intermediate grade. They were not bad, but they weren't enough in his eyes. Patriarch should have heard the purpose of this emperor's visit. This emperor will simply repeat it again. This emperor can bring you guys out of here and live in this emperor's empire. This emperor can guarantee that as long as you guys become this emperor's subjects, the Chaos Gods race will definitely not harm you guys in the slightest. You guys can live uprightly on the supreme continent and no longer have to hide here and their like in the primal chaos ruins. It's fine if the patriarch is unwilling, but this emperor wants to buy some chaos magic stones from you. This emperor can use divine crystals or divine artifacts to buy them. I hope Patriarch can make things easier for me, Zhou Wen said slowly. Patriarch Haze of Chaos looked at Zhou Wen and then at Pangu, the Blood Moon's son, and Kiddo Tali beside him. He smiled bitterly. With such a formation, did they still have a choice? They had a total of 3 Master God-tier experts on their side. There was also a lord whose strength was unknown, but who could bring him an extremely high sense of danger. As for the Chaos humans, after the death of the Chaos Will, their main god-level experts had already perished. The strongest remaining Chaos humans stationed in the Primal Chaos ruins were only him, a true god-tier advanced grade expert. The difference in their peak combat strength was extraordinary. At this thought, Haze of Chaos stood up and cupped his fists at Zhou Zhou. We Chaos humans are willing to join His Majesty's empire and become one of His Majesty's subjects. I have no other requests. I only hope that Your Majesty can treat the members of the Chaos human folk well. Of course. Zhou Wen nodded seriously. They were all his clansmen, and they were from Ying Ning's hometown. There was no reason for him not to take care of them. Seeing Zhou Wen nod, Haze of Chaos heaved a sigh of relief. Thank you, Your Majesty, he stated respectfully. The surrounding Chaos humans were dumbfounded when they saw this scene. In the blink of an eye, he had become the other party's subject and the lord above them. However, they quickly reacted and hurriedly stated respectfully to Zhou Zhou, "Greetings, Your Majesty. We're all on the same side. This emperor will take good care of you in the future." Zhou Wen smiled and said, "Oh yes, the Chaos deity's lineage stationed at the periphery of the Primal Chaos ruins has been defeated and subdued by us. You can leave this place now and don't have to worry about encountering danger." Really? Haze of Chaos and the rest immediately stood up in surprise. "Of course I'm serious." Zhou Wen nodded. Then he waved his right hand, and the roaring towards the sky and company appeared behind him out of thin air. They looked at the scene in front of them in shock. Their gazes swept over Zhou Wen, Haze of Chaos, and the others. Realization quickly flashed across their eyes as they guessed what had happened. "Greetings, Your Majesty." The roaring towards the sky said respectfully. Zhou Wen nodded and smiled at Haze of Chaos. "See, His Majesty is really powerful. He actually tamed them into submission. Thank you for your help, Your Majesty. In the future, we don't have to worry about being killed by the Chaos beasts when we go out." A Chaos Humana said excitedly before he looked at the roaring towards the sky with hatred. Hatred. Zhou Wen frowned slightly when he saw this, but then he relaxed. The hatred between them could be resolved by themselves. Even though he was a Chaos human, he only had the Chaos human bloodline. He did not receive any favors from the Chaos humans. On the contrary, the Chaos humans received more favors from him. In the face of the conflict between his subjects, he had already done his best to not help either side. Anyway, he had mastered the method of resurrection, so he was not afraid that they would kill too ruthlessly. "How many Chaos Magic Stones do you have?" Zhou Wen stopped thinking and asked. The Chaos Magic Stone came from a unique creature called the Chaos Creature. In the Primal Chaos ruins, there was a 20% chance of dropping Chaos Magic Stones after killing the Chaos Elemental Creature. Its function was to be used as a core material to construct the Chaos Sacrificial Ceremony, like the Mist Core. It was Zhou Wen's first time in the Primal Chaos ruins. He could not be bothered to search the entire Primal Chaos ruins for Chaos Magic Stones, so he decided to buy them from the Chaos humans. They had lived here for countless years, so they should have plenty of Chaos Magic Stones after all. "Your Majesty, the Chaos Magic Stones can assist our cultivation, so we don't have much left. We only have about 16,000 left." Haze of Chaos looked at Zhou Wen nervously. "Your Majesty, is this enough?" Zhou Wen could tell that the other party was not lying. He smiled and nodded. "It's more than enough." The Chaos ceremony that Bodhi Supreme had given him only required 8 Chaos Magic Stones to be used once. More than 16,000 Chaos Magic Stones were enough for him to summon Chaos God Fiends more than 2,000 times. "That's good." Haze of Chaos heaved a sigh of relief. He was really afraid that he would not be able to complete the first mission that His Majesty had given him. Then, without any hesitation, he untied the world pocket at his waist, removed his ownership, and handed it to Zhou Wen. Zhou Wen took it and entered it with his spiritual. Well, he saw that other than the 16,000 chaos magic stones that emitted chaotic light, there were other messy things like true god-tier divine artifacts, mist core, medicinal herbs, minerals, and so on. Zhou Wen used the first treasury to collect all the chaos magic stones and casually threw in 3 mist cores and divine crystals the size of mountains. Then, he threw the pocket of the world back to Haze of Chaos. Haze of Chaos was stunned. He subconsciously looked at his world pocket and was stunned by the mist core and divine crystals that were the size of 3 mountains. He looked at Zhou Wen with a grateful expression. Just as he was about to say something, he saw Zhou Wen wave his hand. Since you have become this emperor's subjects, take this as a small benefit from this emperor. Work hard for this emperor's empire in the future. You won't be short of benefits, even if the chaos humans develop to their peak, or even surpass their peak. It's not impossible, he said. Yes, Your Majesty. We will die for Your Majesty. Haze of Chaos was the first to swear. When the other chaos humans saw this, even though they did not understand what had happened, they did the same thing as Haze of Chaos out of their trust and respect for the patriarch. Zhou Wen calmly accepted the actions of the chaos humans. Then, he asked, how many people are there in the chaos human race? How many god spints and true god tiers are there? Reporting to Your Majesty, currently, our chaos human race still has 13,253 people. Among them are 12,210 god spirits and 1,043 true god tiers. Haze of Chaos respectfully said, are they all god spirits? Zhou Wen was a little surprised. If you're not a god spirit, you can't survive here at all. Actually, when we first came here, we didn't only have these clansmen. However, the chaos humans who are weaker than the god spirits are unable to escape their pursuit. Soon, they are all dead. Even a portion of the god spirits and true god tier have died. Furthermore, because they set up an array that forbids fertility, we haven't even had a newborn all these years. Haze of Chaos pointed at the roaring towards the sky. Roaring towards the sky immediately looked up at the sky. Zhou Wen's lips twitched. Good lord, they even created such a vicious array formation that prohibited fertility. How ruthless. All the formations have just been removed. When you return to the Empire with us, you can take the Primal Chaos Ruins with you. After the Primal Chaos Ruins dispels those bad aspects, the environment is actually not bad. The chaotic airflow is very abundant. It's very suitable for chaos humans to cultivate. Zhou Zhou looked at the dense chaotic airflow in the sky. He could sense that these air currents had consciously fused into his divine body in an attempt to make him stronger. His divine body had already been upgraded by the supreme sacred body to the pinnacle of the true god-tier advanced grade. These chaotic airflows could no longer make his divine body stronger. However, it was useless to him. It was still very useful to chaos humans below the true god-tier level. It was not an exaggeration to say that it was a holy land for cultivation. Furthermore, if he took the primal chaos ruins away, he wouldn't have to rush all the way here when he was going to grind chaos demon gods in the future. Killing 2 birds with 1 stone. Yes, Your Majesty. After I leave, I will take the primal chaos ruins away, Haze of Chaos said. In fact, he originally had the intention to do so, but he didn't expect His Majesty to say it in advance. His Majesty is indeed worthy of being the possessor of our chaos human bloodline. He is indeed thinking for the chaos humans. Come on, let's go to the Tao Worship Peak. Zhou Wen stood up and flew out. Haze of Chaos, Pangu, and the others hurriedly flew over to catch up. The Tao Worship Peak was a floating mountain peak floating above the primal chaos ruins. It was nearly 1,000 light years above sea level, and its entire body was chaotic. Chaotic halos emitted from its surroundings, and the area it looked at was deep and mysterious. About a light year away from the Tao Worship Peak, Zhou Wen and the others were looking at the mountain peak from afar. So this is Tao Worship Peak. Zhou Wen muttered. The Tao Worship Peak was originally a sacred ground for the Chaos human race to hold the Chaos Tao Worship ceremony. However, after the death of the Chaos Will, the original Chaos Tao Worship ceremony lost most of its effect. As a result, the Chaos humans could not even complete their coming-of-age ceremony. Coupled with the Chaos God race's hunt, the Chaos humans did not dare to approach Tao Worship Peak openly. As time passed, no one cared about this Tao Worship Peak anymore. "Your Majesty, why are you here?" Haze of Chaos asked curiously. "I'm here to hold the Chaos sacrifice ceremony and summon the chaotic divine demons," Zhou said calmly. "Chaotic divine demons." Haze of Chaos and the other Chaos humans' expressions changed slightly. They naturally knew what chaotic divine demons were, having lived in the primal chaos ruins for so long. That was a special monster condensed from the remnant will of the primal chaos ruins. Not only was it extremely powerful, but it was also extremely strange. It already had some characteristics of indestructible will, and it was almost impossible to destroy. Even if they were destroyed, it wouldn't be long before the other party would be reborn and come back to take revenge on the enemy who had killed him. This was because it was extremely troublesome to destroy, and there were not many benefits. In addition, the chaotic divine demons had no fixed residence and were elusive. It was not easy to find them. Therefore, even the chaos humans and the chaos gods race did not want to provoke each other. They had been living in peace with each other for so many years. Why is His Majesty looking for this thing? However, they looked at the calm and confident Zhou Wen and opened their mouths, but in the end, they did not dare to ask. When they saw Zhou Wen heading straight for Tao Worship Peak, they immediately followed him. They secretly made up their minds, since His Majesty wanted to destroy the chaotic divine demons, no matter how difficult the other party was to deal with. As His Majesty's subjects, they had to persist in following His Majesty to fight. They would risk his life to accompany a gentleman and die at worst. Even though Zhou Wen's attention was on Tao Worship Peak, he also noticed the changes in the chaos humans like Haze of Chaos. He smiled inwardly. This reaction was completely different from the reaction of Ying Ning and the others, but it was normal. Who asked them not to know how blissful it was to join the Blazing Sun Empire? Haze of Chaos. You will now announce that you will lead all the chaos humans to join our Blazing Sun Empire and become a subject of the Blazing Sun Empire. Zhou Wen decided to give them a small shock. "Didn't I just say that?" Haze of Chaos was stunned. "That wasn't formal," Zhou Wen replied. Haze of Chaos. "I, the patriarch of the chaos humans, Haze of Chaos, am willing to lead all chaos humans to become subjects of the Blazing Sun Empire. Please allow me to do so, Your Majesty." Even though Haze of Chaos did not understand, he still obeyed the order. "This emperor agrees." Zhou Wen smiled and nodded. As soon as he finished speaking, under the astonished gazes of Haze of Chaos and the other chaos humans, their bodies suddenly emitted a shocking white light. After the white light dissipated, they were shocked to discover that their potential had increased explosively. My potential has advanced to the Master God tier advanced grade." "Me too. Mine too. I'm also a Master God tier advanced grade. My potential now is also a Master God tier advanced grade. I feel that I'm just short of promotion energy and can break through immediately." The chaos humans exclaimed in disbelief and surprise. "My potential has also reached the limit of a Master God tier advanced grade." What's going on?" He widened his eyes. Then, he thought of something and suddenly looked up at Zhou Wen, who was flying at the front. "Could it be, Your Majesty? This is just one of the billions of benefits of joining the Blazing Sun Empire. Every subject is entitled to it. There's no need to make a fuss," Zhou Wen said calmly. Haze of Chaos and the other chaos humans could not help but gulp when they heard that. Their expressions became even more incredulous. "Are you joking with us? You call this a small benefit? What kind of small benefit could increase the potential of the subjects by 6 levels?" This was the potential of 6 major classes. This meant that if a person only had Black Iron tier elementary grade potential, he could directly become an extraordinary tier elementary grade potential holder. If a person had the potential of an epic tier advanced grade, after joining the Blazing Sun Empire, they could instantly become a Master God tier advanced grade. That was already a level where there was no room for improvement. The Haze of Chaos felt that their worldview had been overturned. If this world was a game, they now seriously suspected that His Majesty had the game's modifier. Otherwise, how could their potential increase so much all of a sudden? When Zhou saw their expressions, he didn't say anything on the surface, but he was secretly pleased. The Lord's law was indeed equivalent to the world modifier. This was also the strength of the Lord's laws. In addition, he wasn't being humble. This was indeed a small benefit of joining their blazing sun empire. You haven't experienced the effects of the 10 sacred blessings, beauty, peach luck, and resurrection. At that time, they would only think that the benefits of the blazing sun empire were even more abnormal. Zhou did not say much about this. He would let them slowly experience it in the future. They flew to the front of Tao Worship Peak and saw an incomparably huge black array formation engraved on the ground of Tao Worship Peak. In the center of the black formation engravings, there was a huge gray cauldron that was 1,000 meters tall. Zhou took a look and recognized that it was a replica of the Chaos Tao sacrificial cauldron. The real thing had disappeared into the myriad worlds after the Chaos humans fell after all. If he hadn't completed the mission issued by the Supreme Will, this race divine artifact wouldn't have fallen into his hands. He casually waved his hand and saw that the Chaos Tao sacrificial cauldron replica had disappeared. In its place was the real Chaos Tao sacrificial cauldron. After the Chaos Tao sacrificial cauldron appeared, Haze of Chaos and the other Chaos humans were shocked. This is our Chaos human race's divine artifact. This is the real Chaos Tao sacrificial cauldron. Haze of Chaos was shocked towards first, but by the end, his tone was filled with fanaticism. The Chaos Tao sacrificial cauldron was the most important symbol of their human race. It could be said that this racial divine artifact was the faith of the Chaos humans. It represented their glorious years under the rule of the Chaos Will. In addition, the Chaos Tao sacrificial cauldron also had the ability to increase the Chaos humans' combat strength. Therefore, following the Chaos Tao sacrificial cauldron was lost back then, the Chaos humans' combat strength had greatly decreased. Otherwise, even if they lost when they were surrounded by thousands of races back then, they could at least last longer. He discovered that there seemed to be 100 million tiny problems alongside the Chaos Tao sacrificial cauldron. Why does this Chaos Tao sacrificial cauldron look so ordinary? The Haze of Chaos hesitated. When the Chaos sacrifice Tao cauldron was towards its peak, once it was taken out, boundless law phenomena would descend. During the Chaos Will era, it was even known as the #1 race's divine artifact. As for the Chaos Tao sacrificial cauldron in forefront of him, it looked very ordinary. With the death of the Chaos Will, the Supreme Will rules the universe. The luck of the humans condensed on the Chaos Tao sacrificial cauldron has greatly decreased. That's why the Chaos Tao sacrificial cauldron has become like this, Zhou stated calmly. When the Haze of Chaos heard this, his expression darkened. Zhou ignored him and casually threw out 8 Chaos Magic Stones. The 8 Chaos Magic Stones flew towards the 8 nodes of the array and landed towards the array's hub. Immediately after, he struck out Chaos Dharma Seals into the lost Chaos Sacrificial Tao Cauldron. Countless Chaos Dharma Seals surged into the Chaos Tao Sacrificial Cauldron like phantoms. In just a second, he had sent more than 100 Chaos Dharma Seals. After he punched in a total of 1,800 Chaos Dharma Seals, he heard a buzzing sound. The entire Chaos Tao Sacrificial Cauldron shook slightly, creating a circle of white airflow. At the same time, nomological patterns appeared on the Chaos Tao Sacrificial Cauldron and slowly revolved around it. Finally, a chaos vortex slowly appeared above the Chaos Tao Sacrificial Cauldron.
Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed today's episode. If you did, please like, share, and subscribe.